So we're going to take a look at how we can figure out the 100th term of a sequence without having to write all 100 terms. We know that the first term is 1, second term is 4, third term is 7, fourth term is 10. And we are looking for the 100th term. Now the easiest way to do this is to go about writing an equation, and this happens to be something that we call a linear relationship. And a linear relationship is nothing more than a relationship that if you were to graph it on a coordinate plane, it would create a straight line. And linear relationships are written with an equation that is y equals mx plus b, where m is your slope, b is your y-intercept, x is going to be x. X is a variable and it can change, but the x value is going to be your independent variable. And y is your dependent variable. You have an x-axis here, y-axis here. So that's what we're talking about. M is slope. Now let's talk about slope. Slope is described as rise over run. And so, in other words, the slope is telling you how steep this line is going to be. As luck would have it, the problem already tells us how big the slope is counting by 3s. But it's never too early to start talking about rise over run. So the y-intercept is the point at which the line crosses the y-axis. Simple enough. But what is the x value at the y-axis? Well, the x value right here is at 0. So that means if I were to look at a table of values, when x is 0, whatever y is going to be my y-intercept. So let's take a look at this problem that we were given and how it relates to y equals mx plus b. So we have the sequence 1, 4, 7, 10. And let's just make a table out of it. Our first term is 1, our second term is 4, our third term is 7, our fourth term is 10. Well, we just said that the y-intercept occurs when x is 0. And they don't give us the value at our 0th term. So we need to work backwards. So right now I can say that we have a 0 here. And following my pattern, if I'm adding 3 every time, if I were to go backwards, we would have a -2 here. This is my y-intercept, which is abbreviated with the letter b. So y equals mx plus b. M is my slope, that's my counting number, so my slope is right here. And b is my y-intercept. All right, so now I can write an equation for the sequence. We know that y is going to be equal to, and I guess I should include, this is my x value, this is my y value. Y is equal to 3, well, because that's my counting number, times my x value minus 2, because that is my y-intercept. And so now I can plug in 100 for my independent variable and figure out what my dependent variable, what my y value is. So we have y is equal to 3 times 100, and you'll notice that I don't use x for multiply. I use x as a variable, and I don't even have to write anything for to show multiplication. If I put two numbers next to each other, it means I am multiplying them. So 3 times 100 is 300. So I have y is equal to 300 minus 2. Well, 300 minus 2 is just 298. So my 100th term will have a value of 298. And I'm going to be doing that over and over and over again for the rest of these problems. So I'm not going to go through every time explaining y equals mx plus b, m is slope, and b is y-intercept. I'm not going to explain every time that the counting number is m, and whatever we start with is our b value, our y-intercept. But I'm going to use that over and over again. So if I were you, I'd write that on your paper right now, pause the video, so that when you come to the next problem, you can get it, you have those notes ready. Okay, pause the video, start it when you're ready. Now that you've written that y equals mx plus b on your paper, let's take a look at problem number 2. If I start by 2 and count by 3s until I reach 449, I will get where 2 is the first number and 5 is the second, and so forth. If 449 is the nth number, what is the value of n? All right, so let's write out y equals mx plus b. And right now we know 2 is the counting number because that is what I'm counting by. That's what I'm multiplying by every time. So right now I know with absolute certain y is equal to 2x plus b. Now let's set up our table, right? So we have 2, 5, I'm counting by 3s, shoot. My bad. I'm counting by 3s. Where is it counting by 3s? So we have 2, 5, 8, 11, dot, 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 and we get 449. And that's my n value. 2 is my first, second, third, fourth, and I need to move back to get my 0. Well, if I'm counting by 3s, I have to go backwards, so this is going to be -1. So I can safely write my equation and say y is equal to 3x minus 1. Now n, that is an x value, and 449 is a y value. So I am going to have to take my 449 and plug it in for y. So I have 449 is equal to 3x minus 1. Well, wait a second. If 3x minus 1 is equal to 449, that means that 3x has to equal 1 more than 449, which would be 450. So I can safely say that 450 is equal to 3x. Well, something times x is equal to 450. Well, that means if I divide 450 by 3, I will get my x value. So 3 goes into 4 once, carry the 1, goes into 15 5 times, 0. So my 150th term will have a value of 449. Pause the video, do the third problem yourself, and then restart the video to see if you did it right. Pause the video now. Pause it. All right, third problem. If you start with 3 and count by 7s, you get the same sequence. We want to know what is the value of n when your dependent variable is 528. So let's set up our table. 0, 1, 2, 3, n. This is our x value, this is our y value. I don't know my 0 value of my 0 figure. 3, 10, 17, 5, 28. And we know y is equal to mx plus b. We know our m value is our counting number, 7. So y is equal to 7x plus, and let's work backwards. So I added 7 to something and got 3, so that must be -4. So I have y is equal to 7x minus 4. Great. Now 528 is going to be my dependent variable, is my y value. So I can write 528 is equal to 7x minus 4. Well, if 728 is equal to 7x minus 4, well, that means that 7x has to equal this number plus 4, right? So we have 532 is equal to 7x. Well, I'm multiplying 7 to something, and I'm getting 532. Well, that means 532 divided by 7 is going to get me my x value. So x is going to be equal to, now 7 does not go into 5, but 7 goes into 53. How many times is 7 going to 53? It goes in 7 times. And that has a remainder of 4. 7 goes into 42 6 times. So the 76th term is going to have a value of 528. Next problem. Pause the video, do it yourself, and then restart the video as soon as you have an answer and see if you did it right. Jack, I know you have mathletics to do. All right, same idea. My counting number is 4, so that is my m value. So y is equal to 4x. And let's work backwards. So if I'm adding 4 every time, let's subtract 4. So my 0 value is going to be 3. So I have y equals 4x plus 3 this time because it is a positive. That's why it's plus 3. And I want to know, a new sequence, I should probably read the question first. A new sequence is formed when I start with a different number and count by a different number. Yes. Suppose the second number of the new sequence is 8, and the fifth number is 17. What is the 10th number? Okay, so this is not going to be helpful because it doesn't actually relate to the second part. And the question belongs here. So I don't know what my counting numbers are, I just don't know. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a table again. Here's my x, here's my y. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. Eli, could you shut the door, please? All right. So the second number in my sequence is 8. The fifth number is 17. And I want to know the 10th number. All right. So how far did I go? Well, go from 8 to 17. Well, that's a difference of 9. How far did I go here? I went from 2 to 5. Well, that's a difference of 3. So that means I went 9 numbers over 3. That means if I were to go by ones, if I were to count by ones, I'd have to count by 3, right? So 8 plus 3 is 11, 11 plus 3 is 14, 14 plus 3 is 17. Oh, well, let's just continue the pattern. So 7, because 10 is not that much higher. 17 plus 3 is 20, 23, 26, 29, and 32. So the 10th term has an answer of 32. I don't know about you, but I'm having a blast. Pause the video, do the problem, and restart the video as soon as you have an answer. Okay, if you have an answer, let's see if you did it right. If you start with 4 and count by 3s, you get this sequence, where 4 is the first number and 7 is the second number, blah, 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 blah. If n is the 50th number, what is n? If n is the 50th number, what is n? Okay, so same idea. My x, y, 0, 1, 2, 3, n. And we know y is equal to mx plus b. My counting number is 3, so I have y equals 3x plus b. We have our 4, 7, 10. Working backwards, that's 1, so my b value is 1. So y is equal to 3x plus 1. So if n is the 50th number, so that is a dependent variable, so that is my x value. So if y is equal to 3 times 50 plus 1, 3 times 50 is 150 plus 1, so y is equal to 151. This is going to be the last one of the video. Last one of the video. Because this problem is conceptually different than all the others. The following number sequence is formed by starting with 7 and then adding 3. sevens and threes. We love this. What is the 100th term? All right. I think we already have this one, right? So we have y equals 3x plus 4. So plug in 100, so we get 300 plus 4 is equal to y. So we get y is equal to 304. All right. The sooner you learn y equals mx plus b, the happier your lives are going to be, I promise.